I've got Iowa losing in a close game, 24-20.
Somehow, Morgan came up lucky, but with the power of the belt, anything is possible.
6.3 out of 10, and there's mold in my bagel. God.
What? A 3.1?
I got 100. You guys did
So bad.
Thanks for the luck.
Welcome to Before the Kickoff, the Daily Island's weekly pregame show and your number one source for Hawkeye football. I'm Colin Carruthers.
And I'm Elise Gann. We're going to break down everything you need to know before the kickoff.
Elise, you had to make that trip out to LA, which is cool in consideration of everything that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely there. I was soaking wet and really cold, and my hands were shaking while I was filming, so your recap footage might not be that great. My apologies, but it was a game and a half, I will say.
Don't worry, it's all good. I'm sure it was the opposite of an experience that you would expect when going out to Los Angeles. Welcome to LA Memorial Coliseum, where Iowa and USC fans gather alike through the rainy conditions at home of the USC Trojans, ranked 17th in the country at the time, taking on the 21st ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. There's the Olympic torch, and it led off to Iowa being strong out of the gate, offensively slinging it through the rain, finding Jacob Gill on that beautiful pass and setting up Iowa in perfect scoring position. But how would it come across? Well, it was Mark Gronowski rolling out to his right side. He's getting ready to maybe run it in. Instead, it's a jump pass to Dayton Howard, who hurls it in the back of the end zone. It's an early 7-0 lead for Iowa. They score another touchdown, and then some trickery. Mark Gronowski takes the snap. It's a handoff to Caden Weegan, who flips it back to Reese Vanderzee, who throws it to Mark Gronowski, who's there for the receiving touchdown. Iowa goes up 21-0 in the halftime, and here we have the Hawkeye fan happiness meter. What's happening to it? Well, Iowa fans really happy turned really, really sad in the second half when USC turned on the lights and were phenomenal in every aspect of the game defensively with their passes, their runs, and it was Mavia finding Makai Lemon, standout wide receiver, who brought in some incredible catches on some impressive passes. Iowa fans, as depressed as they could be, who made the trip out there, as it set up for multiple field goals, multiple touchdowns, whether they were in the air or just like this one, a rushing touchdown to seal the deal. USC wins 26-21. Iowa leaves California with a loss for the second straight year. Elise, sorry it wasn't exactly the trip you would expect. At least it could have been sunny for you, but instead I assume you were just drenched.
Yeah, I was expecting to get a little tan, on the field, but I'm still pale.
Yeah. I don't know how tan. Do you think you get that tan?
I get really tan.
Okay.
My brother gets more tan than me, but I get tan.
Fair. Well, we'll see if they can get back on track this week, especially with it being such a important milestone game for a lot of the seniors on this team. They'll learn more about that. We'll send it over to Brad Schultz in the newsroom.
Well, guys, heartbreaking losses have defined the 2025 Iowa football season, but the Hawkeyes are still looking to finish their final chapter strong and send their senior class out on a high note. Saturday's matchup against Michigan State will mark the final game at Kinnick Stadium for 27 Hawkeye seniors, who will be honored in a special Seniors Day ceremony before the game. For many of the seniors, this will be their second time going through Senior Day festivities. Defensive lineman Ethan Herkett went through last year's ceremony, but the option to return to Iowa was always lingering in the back of his mind. This year, there's no next time.
You can't really see where you'll end up. I've had years where I've had season-ending injuries, but I think if you trust the process, trust what the coaches are trying to do, and trust God, you can do it.
Star returner Caden Weegan is also participating for the second time, but even he isn't sure if this will be the last one. The Williamsburg native told us on Tuesday that he hasn't considered the possibility of returning for a sixth season of college football should it be granted. He's just simply focused on enjoying the present.
It's crazy every time you walk out, just kind of seeing everybody there. And, it'll be the same feeling the last time, but kind of try to soak it in a little more since it'll be the last one.
Some of the other notable graduating seniors didn't begin their careers with Iowa, but will leave Iowa City as forever Hawkeyes. Wide receiver Jacob Gill began his career for Iowa's longtime Big Ten rival Northwestern, and even watched the Hawkeyes participate in the Swarm from the opposing sidelines. Gill has been Iowa's leading receiver for the last 2 seasons and shared what he'll miss most about playing in Kinnick Stadium.
From the outside in, it looks a little different, but when you get in here and you go out there and you swarm, I mean, it's just special. You know, just know that you're going to battle with those guys that next to you that you're holding hands with. It's awesome. It's different, and I enjoy it.
After leading South Dakota State to a pair of FCS national championships, quarterback Mark Gronowski had plenty of suitors in the transfer portal, but opted to stay close to his home state of Illinois and play for the Hawkeyes. Though he's been on campus for only one season, Gronowski is going to miss the close relationships he's built with his teammates.
The biggest thing that I'm going to just miss about it is just all the relationships that I've kind of built with everyone, and how close we've gotten as a team, how close I've gotten with a lot of the guys in the team. I'm excited for Saturday. It's going to be a cool moment for all the seniors, all the guys that have put in so much work.
Senior Day ceremonies for the game are set to begin about 10 to 15 minutes before, so fans are encouraged to get to their seats early so they can watch the show. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Definitely a bittersweet day ahead of us here, Elise.
Absolutely. It'll be cool sending off those seniors with their final swarm, but on just the bitter side of things, that's the way to describe Michigan State's season this year. The Spartans are 3-7 and bring in a 7-game losing streak to Kinnick Stadium. Yes, that does mean Michigan State is still without a win in conference play, including their most recent defeat to Penn State 28-10 at home, giving the Nittany Lions their first Big Ten win this season. Bad results like this make their quarterback situation make sense.
Yeah, at least they have actually made a mid-season change recently. Iowa fans may probably remember quarterback Aiden Childs from a season ago when he led MSU to a home win over the Hawks after completing 73.3% of passes for 256 yards and 1 touchdown in that game. However, he has continued the struggle ever since and has been benched. Enter redshirt freshman Alessio Milivojevic. He has gotten 2 starts so far, losses to both Minnesota in overtime and Penn State, where he has thrown for 439 yards and 1 touchdown. A major downgrade between him and Childs, though, is his mobility is noticeably worse, already being sacked 9 times against Minnesota and another 5 times against Penn State. Here's Cone Entringer's thoughts on the 2 QBs.
The challenge too is they got 2 really good quarterbacks. We're not exactly sure who's going to be playing, but I think kudos to them. They got 2 guys who can get the job done and execute at a high level. So I think we're going to have to be on our toes.
Gotta hope something is working for them offensively, at least.
Well, they have a running back who has been a bit of a rock so far. Mekhi Frazier is a sophomore, averaging 14.2 carries per game. With those opportunities, he has racked up 520 yards and 2 touchdowns.
We talked about Milivojevic at quarterback for MSU. Who are some targets that he can go for if the run game just doesn't pick up any steam?
Well, Colin, this is where the offense is successful. They have a couple guys that stand out here and are not the reason this offense has struggled to score. Sophomore wide receiver Nick Marsh led this squad in receiving yards last year. He has been out to a quick and explosive start already with 559 yards and 5 touchdowns to his name. Another name to look out for is senior tight end Jack Belling. The Oregon State transfer is currently 3rd on the team with 31 targets and 23 receptions. This has him tallied for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. The other part of this game, though, is if Michigan State can keep this Iowa offense at bay.
Well, at least I can't say I'm too confident in that.
No, but before we break down the MSU defense, let's hear Iowa quarterback Mark Gronowski's thoughts on the 11 he is about to face.
I think, especially on 3rd downs, they've done a great job of just trying to confuse quarterbacks. They've been really successful on that side of things because they run a ton of different coverages on that side. Maybe not a ton of different coverages, but a ton of different blitz looks. A lot of guys at the line of scrimmage.
Let's start with that defensive line as a whole. They rank 101st in the country in sacks per game. Even more so, not a single individual has more than 2.5 sacks this year. For comparison, Iowa has 3 guys with 5 or more sacks. Well, Iowa obviously has a great run game. Doesn't look like it'll be stopped there, and it probably won't be stopped in that 2nd level either, at least.
Now, Colin, the Spartan linebackers are 115th in the nation as a unit with 31.1 points allowed per game. Their best in this spot also might be the best on the defense, junior Jordan Hall. He leads this defense with 74 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles. Shocking enough, the defensive backs haven't been much better.
No, they have not, at least. They have allowed for 67.6% of passes to be completed against them for 2,170 yards and 19 touchdowns. I want to point out senior safety Nikai Martinez, particularly because his return to the team after an injury earlier this season. He was Michigan State's leading returner in tackling with 51 a season ago. So far in just the 4 games he has played in, He's recorded 24 tackles. We asked Iowa's Jacob Gill for his thoughts on the DB group as a whole.
They're a good group of guys. They're solid. They're a little older guys, a few younger guys in there as well. They're going to bring it. We expect them to bring it.
Well, at least let's hope these seniors can send themselves off the way they want to on Saturday.
Yeah, let's hope it's a happy ending for them, Colin.
Absolutely, but not just happy ending for them. It's not just their story we're going to see on the field on Saturday. There's another great story.
And I have the great story. It's this week's Kid Captain, and I had the opportunity to talk to Raymond Walker about his tremendous journey. Raymond Walker was born a typical baby, perfectly healthy with no complications until his 4-month appointment.
They thought he had Down syndrome, so they ordered a blood draw at our local hospital. That blood draw came back to be negative.
At his 6-month appointment, pediatricians noticed Ray's head circumference was ahead of what it should be, assigning him to specialty care and an MRI.
The imaging revealed a spot on his brain, which they thought at the time might be a tumor. So they referred us to get another MRI or CT with contrast, and that's when they found that he was actually born with a brain abnormality.
Ray was then experiencing around 20 seizures a day. Doctors attempted several different forms of treatment and medications, but nothing seemed to work for the Indianola kid. Then, fear struck in the Walker family as it was discovered Ray was given an incorrect dosage of medication, causing him to overdose and be directed to the Stead Family Children's Hospital. After several misdiagnoses leading up to his referral to the Children's Hospital, Ray was finally diagnosed with focal epilepsy, explaining the main reason for the constant seizures. Ray successfully received left functional hemispherectomy, a surgery that disconnected one side of his brain from the other, stopping the seizures.
Finally getting the answers was a relief. We had been fighting for almost a year.
Now seizure-free for 5 years, Ray is thriving in 2nd grade. He loves to read, ride his go-karts, and play outside with his pets. From the University of Iowa, Elise Gann, DITV Sports. Always an amazing opportunity to talk to these families, Colin.
Absolutely. As always, from you, Elise, terrific story, but also terrific kid captain story there as well. It seems like that kid has been through a lot, but really happy to hear that he's in the spot he is now.
He's been through a lot, and he's got through it great, and I love learning about his story, but you know what else I love to learn about?
I'm going to need you to tell me, Elise.
Well, Colin, some good old football history, you know that. And that's why we're going to send it to our new professor in the classroom, Morgan Burhans.
Hello, class, and welcome back to another history lesson taught by your belt champion, Professor Morgan. Now, Iowa plays a hopefully easy matchup this week against Michigan State, whom they've had quite an extensive history with. This year will be the team's 51st meeting. Their history started in 1953 when the two teams met for the first time right here in Iowa City. This marked the Spartans' first game in the Big Ten Conference, and Michigan State walked away with a 21-7 win. But Iowa wins the all-time series, having 25 wins against Michigan State's 23. In their last 10 matchups, they are 5-5, showing that historically, this game really is a toss-up. Now, these two teams have had a fair share of iconic battles, one of the most memorable but devastating moments being in the Big Ten Championship in 2015. CJ Beathard's 88-yard pass secured the temporary lead at 13-9 with 14 minutes left. Now we all know what happens next, a miserable 9-minute-long possession led by Michigan State running back LJ Cook, who ran 22 times for 73 yards. He secured the touchdown for the win and the Big Ten title. This game broke Iowa's unbeaten record and devastated Iowa fans, including my brother, who I vividly remember was bawling his eyes out after the game. In their most recent matchup last year, Iowa fell in a disheartening loss 32-20 at the Spartans Stadium. But on a brighter note, last time we played the Spartans in Kinnick, it was a different story. With 5 minutes left in a tied game, Cooper DeJean conducted an iconic 70-yard punt return touchdown. Drew Stevens secured a field goal and gave Iowa a 10-point swing in the final 5 minutes. This leveraged the Hawks to a 26-16 win. Also, Kirk Ferentz's first Big Ten win as Iowa's head coach was against Michigan State on October 7, 2000. Hopefully, Kirk and the Hawks can secure another win against the Spartans this weekend. Back to you, Colin and Elise.
Well, thank you for that lesson there, Morgan. It's not just you that had a good look on that game last year, Elise. You had a pretty, I'm assuming, vivid memory of that game.
Yeah, just like USC, I was right there, up close and personal to that loss, Colin.
I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend.
I know,
right
I'm bad
there.
luck, I guess.
Maybe you are. Maybe you're not, though. But maybe there's some bad luck for some impressive teams this weekend, or maybe they'll just get the win they need to inch themselves that much closer to the college football playoff. And for more of that information, let's take a look around the Big Ten with Cole Krieger.
Time is flying by, guys, as there are just 2 weeks remaining on the Big Ten regular season schedule. While the Hawks are looking to get back on track and finish this year strong, there are some big matchups this weekend with playoff implications. Starting in the shoe, the #1 ranked team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes, host the 5-5 Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Rutgers is just 1 win away from being bowl eligible, while the Buckeyes are 2 wins away from an undefeated regular season. Heading up north to the team up north, the 18th ranked Michigan Wolverines are coming off a 5-turnover performance against Northwestern that nearly destroyed their college football playoff dreams. The Wolverines squeaked out just a 24-22 win over Northwestern and now turn their attention over to 4-6 Maryland, who is on a 6-game losing streak. With a win, the Wolverines would set themselves up for possibly a win-and-in scenario next weekend against the first-ranked Buckeyes. And for our last game of the weekend, Iowa fans, close your eyes or cover your ears because I hate to bring back up sour memories, but Iowa's last 2 opponents, number 15 USC and number 7 Oregon, face off on Saturday, which should have major playoff implication. It's a fun former Pac-12 matchup starting at 11 in Eugene, Oregon. College Game Day will be in attendance for one of the biggest games of the year. That was a look around what else is happening around the Big Ten. Colin and Elise, back to you guys.
Well, thanks for that look there, Cole. Always nice to see what's going on in the conference, and I like those games, Elise.
I did too. I mean, USC and Oregon, terrible games for us, but now the enemies are fighting against one another.
It'd be a great matchup between 2 teams who, in my opinion, are ready for the college football playoffs, but might start knocking each other out. But we know what's more important than that playoff or whatever it is.
Playoffs? Yeah, whatever. Prediction belt is what I'm here for, Colin.
That's what we're all here for. That's what matters so much. I know you've missed it a little bit.
I have.
I know I've missed it. I've been on a cold streak, but it's time to bring it back right here up on this set. But we'll first send over to the newsroom to see if Brad, on his debut, can win the predictions belt, and then we'll hear from the rest of the crew on their predictions between Iowa and Michigan State.
Well, guys, Saturday is my last home game as a University of Iowa student, and let's just say I hope it's better than the first one, because the first one was a 7-3 disaster against Mark Gronowski's South Dakota State Jackrabbits. But Iowa's going to have no problem with Michigan State this weekend. Spartans are bad. They're beaten down. Iowa's pissed about losing to USC. They're going to come out on fire. It's going to be a great day in Kinnick Stadium. Hawks take this one 35-7.
The new girl is ready to win the belt again this week. Michigan State has had a poor season so far with an 0-7 record in Big Ten play, and I don't believe that changes this week. Looking at Iowa's record so far, Iowa is 6-0 this season against unranked opponents with an average scoring margin of plus 25.5. I don't think this trend will change at all against a struggling Spartans team, who is on a 7-game losing streak. Throughout this season, Michigan State's offense has been nothing but stagnant as they are in the bottom third in the Big Ten in terms of points per game and rushing. Plus, this is Iowa's final game at Kinnick this season with yet another sold-out crowd. I don't think the seniors will go out with a loss. That's why I've got Iowa dominating in a 34-6 win.
This game will tell us a lot about where this team is at mentally. The playoffs are out the window, you're on a 2-game losing streak, and now you have 2 very winnable games right in front of you. You also were upset by this team last year in East Lansing, and you know what? I think the Hawkeyes will right the ship. I think Iowa gets back in the win column this week with a strong victory on Senior Day over the Spartans. Give me the Hawkeyes 34-10.
I know my prediction spiels are usually longer, but I'll keep this one simple just because of how easily I think Iowa will win. Cole, I am sorry for one-upping you just a little bit with my score, but Michigan State's offense is not that great. Iowa's defense, however, is one of the top in the nation, and it's not like Michigan State's defense can balance things out anyways. The Hawkeyes are playing their last game in Kinnick of the season, and it's senior night. I don't think I need to do much more explaining. I have the Hawks taking the win 35-10.
Well, I'll be the first to do it. I have Iowa breaking the 40 mark. I have them winning this game 42-10. I really do think they can score that much against Michigan State, and that's not to disrespect them. That's not because I think they're that bad, but I think Iowa matches up perfectly against the Spartans, and they can bring it to them on senior night. Well, at least not too far off from you guys with my predictions. Just trying to stray away a little bit, though. Maybe hoping for a little bit more of an offensive game.
I mean, if you're right, I wouldn't be too upset about it, but obviously I would prefer my prediction.
You're going to be so happy with me winning the belt because you're such a good friend. You're really happy when I win the belt, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take that as a yes. So for now, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you, Morgan, Cole, Brad, and our entire tech crew, and you for tuning in to Before the Kickoff.
Make sure to check out the Daily Iowans website and YouTube page for all the latest on Hawkeye sports and coverage of this weekend's game. From the University of Iowa, I'm Elise Gann.
And I'm Colin Crithers. Enjoy senior night between Iowa and Michigan State.